Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of our weekly MMA talk show, Chokes and Eye Pokes. Before we go any further, as always, please like the video, comment and subscribe, and let us know what you want to see and what you think of the episode. I'm your host, as always, Vern. I'm joined by my co-host, Jack, and a very special guest today is the owner of PFA, one of the best MMA coaches in the country. We're very happy to have Mike Mouneimne join us.
Thanks for having me again.
Thanks for joining us, Mike. How's everything been the last little while?
Been busy. It's been busy. The new gym has been challenging, been nice and busy, keeping me on my toes. It's been good.
Yeah, you got a lot of good fighters as well. We're talking about it, so we're quite interested to see what happens in the next sort of half of this year with all of them, with Jamelo and Adrian.
Yeah, there's a lot of momentum coming out of the gym now, so it's quite cool. The MMA side's looking good, and we've got a lot of exciting stuff for the boxing as well coming up, which is quite cool.
Nice. So I think we're gonna head straight into it. So we did our picks last week for the main card of ESPN on Fox, right?
Yeah, I think it's on Fox.
Yeah. The first fight was Sultan Ruziboev and Bruno Ferreira. We both got this one wrong, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, we said Bruno is going to win this one.
Yeah, it's really wrong.
Yeah. 1 minute 17 in the first round. What are your thoughts, Mike? What did you think?
Listen, I think it was a cracker of a first minute. But at this level, you can't make any mistakes, and the guys who come in aggressive, you put a stamp on it, it looked pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had question marks about Ruziboev because he hadn't really fought in the UFC yet. I mean, he had a good record, but those question marks are kind of gone now. Bruno Ferreira was undefeated, and that's why we kind of went for Bruno. But what do you think went wrong? Do you think it was just one of those situations where he dropped his hands and made a mistake, or?
I think at this level, you can't make a mistake. He did drop his hands, and these young guys coming in making their debuts. They've got a point to prove. They're coming in on a big stage on the main card. There's a lot of eyes on you. So you've got to take that opportunity, and he took the opportunity brilliantly.
Yeah, most definitely. And he's got a massive following behind him. I mean, I posted a video where we predicted the fight, and it was just people from Uzbekistan commenting the whole time. So yeah, he's got a massive following. Okay, this one you got right, Jack. Benoit Saint Denis beat Ismail Bonfim, submission by rear naked choke in the first round.
Yeah, I would really like to see him versus Nickal.
Yeah,
after that fight, and you called him out. I think that it was an impressive win. Yeah,
no, definitely dominated from start to finish. Actually, I was quite surprised.
That was a cracker, though.
Yeah,
the Bonfim is tough as well.
Yes,
dynamite in his hands, but it was those liver kicks in the beginning. They took a toll. But he got tired in the round.
Yeah,
Bonfim in a little bit in the fight. He got a little bit tired. I think it's a story of the fight card, in my opinion. A lot of guys got tired, but it was a cracker.
Yeah, you're right, actually, because when I looked at Bonfim when Benoit had his back, he kind of looked to be chilling a little bit almost. He wasn't really that aggressive, and didn't look like he was really trying to be that urgent. And
Benoit looked like he slowed down as well. Bonfim in the fight a little bit. And with that guy also with dynamite in his hands, you can't play around with him. So it was very exciting. It was a cool fight to watch.
Yeah, very, very good fight. We both got this one wrong, Jack. We both said Melissa Gatto was going to win this, but Ariane Lipski split decision. 28-29, 30-27, 29-28. What are your thoughts?
I almost had a Gatto, but I do think Lipski deserved to win. Yeah, it was an interesting one. I think it was a super close fight, but I do think Lipski edged it out. Just in terms of the way she managed her range and the game plan of not getting taken down. I think that really worked out for her. Yeah, it was very technical in terms of staying away or keeping it on the feet. Yeah.
What do you think, Mike?
I got bored and I forwarded the fight. I watched it.
Is it?
I watched it on catch up. Now, I watched the first round and just the movement of Gatti was she kept hesitating. She kept fainting. It's like you can see she wasn't really ready to commit. And Lipski controlled the fight from what I watched in the first round, from start to finish. She really kind of pushed where the fight was going to go, and she looked like she was in complete control. I didn't think she was going to lose it. When it was a split decision, I was like, okay, maybe I should have watched a little bit longer.
Yeah, it's weird now because we've had a lot of conversations about the judges' scorecards in the last couple of fight cards, and it's like 28-29, 30-27, 29-28. It's like, how do you have a 28-29 and a 30-27 on the same scorecard. You know, it's a bit weird.
I think some of the judges don't watch the fights, to be honest. You know what I mean? I think some fighters are so good that when they don't just dismantle somebody, they automatically just go, oh, they must have lost that fight. So sometimes, you know, somebody like Lipsky who's got a great record, and like Queen of Violence and whatever their name is, there's a lot of expectation on it. And if she doesn't perform well, like got a crazy submission or a great knockout, people think, oh, maybe she lost. And they just kind of like edge it to the other person. But there's so many situations where there's three judges all see three different things.
Yeah.
Maybe it's also a situation of the angles of the fight. If the fight's on the ground, maybe you see something a little bit different. You don't see all the strikes coming in. But in general, I think this year has been pretty surprising with some of the decisions.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a shit show.
It has been.
Is there a way to change that? I mean, can you change the judging? Is it just a problem that's bound to just stay here forever?
I think the commissions need to be more strict. I said, like there's one judge that keeps fucking up all the scores.
Like, well, who is it? Chris Lee. Yeah.
Just get rid of him.
Yeah.
Just boot him. Like, ban him for 6 months. Ban him for a year. You know what I mean? The guys will start to judge better. I promise you. But these guys get left by the commission to do whatever they want, and then you can cry as much as you want as a promoter or as a fighter. The commission doesn't do anything. That judge is going to be there again.
There's no repercussions, so they just keep making the same mistakes over and over. We thought they should at least interview them, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a start, you know. It's kind of be like, what the hell are you guys been doing, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Find out why they judge it like that. But, there's some dodgy judging out there. Maybe some betting. You never know.
Yeah, you never know. Eh?
Could be.
Anything can happen. Okay, this one. Okay, I got this one right, fortunately, because I would have lost quite badly on the weekend if I didn't. So Michael Morales beat Max Griffin, unanimous decision. Definitely deserved that. I mean, geez, 24 years old, beating a seasoned vet like that. I mean, what a performance from Morales. Yeah, very, very, very dominant, in my opinion.
Yeah, it was tough. He fought with a lot of maturity. That fight was good to watch. I thought it would have been a knockout. But really, he's tough. These veterans are there for a reason.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. A lot of experience. I think that's the only thing that kept him in the fight, in my opinion. But it was a tough one. It was a good fight.
What do you think?
Yeah, for 24, that was like really impressive to see just how technical, like he could get it done and consistently, like from round 2, just. He was controlling the fight so convincingly. Yeah.
What do you want to see next for him? I mean, is it still too early to start sort of calling for a certain fighter? Should he just take whatever fight they give him? Or if you were managing him, what would you be telling him?
Listen, it's just my style not to go out calling people out. Okay. When you start calling people out, you act like an asshole, and then you lose. You look like an asshole. For me, it's like, you can request certain fights behind the scenes. But just take what they give you. At this stage, you're young in your career. The UFC will obviously want to manage him and grow him, especially if he's got some potential. Like, just shut up and get the job done. A lot of fighters want too much say in who they fight. I think guys would just shut up and fight. If you want to be the best in the world, fight in the best organization in the world, you can't pick who you're going to fight. Just fight whoever they put in front of you. If you don't have the confidence to fight anyone, then don't fight on that level. That's just my opinion.
No, fair enough. I mean, Corey Sandhagen just said that now for his upcoming fight. He's like, I want to be the best in the world. So how can I duck people? And plus, this guy's on the tear, so why would I not want to fight him? I'm going to fight him eventually.
If he beats him, he's 100%. And it's risky. But also, Usman can't sit out and do nothing. You know what I mean? Like, why must this guy, just because he's got the talent and he's got a natural ability and he works hard and he's dangerous, now he must sit out on the sidelines because nobody wants to fight him. It's bullshit. The guys who say no must get cut.
Yeah, no, 100%. So, great victory there. I mean, wise beyond his years, I guess, if you want to say anything. Very mature performance. Grant Dawson against Demir, 30-26, 30-27, 30-27 unanimous decision, about as dominant as it gets. So he's a problem.
That is a problem.
Yeah.
That wrestling, that grappling, that control. Like, he didn't get the finish, but unreal control. I mean, and he fought a real guy. He wasn't like just some random guy over the hill. He fought a really tough and dangerous opponent. Made him look ordinary.
Yeah, look, I mean, I was looking at it now, all the good grapplers that there are in the lightweight division. I mean, all the way from Islam, all the way down. I want to say down because he's ranked number 15, or he was ranked number 15. Grant Dawson. I mean, there's just a whole host of, and they're grapplers, but they also got striking, but they're grappling in particular. I mean, that's a scary division.
Yeah. American top team is all that, like,
They got a great wrestling base.
Yeah.
So their wrestling base is good. They got a very good submission game, very good control game. But his rest, I mean, to put the guy down and then control him, it was next level. Like that was I mean, to get 2 10-8 rounds, it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah. So the next one, I was very surprised by this. I mean, I don't know. It happened for a couple of reasons. The main reason being that Magomedov got tired. I mean, in my opinion. But Sean Strickland won by TKO against Magomedov. We both got that one wrong. I mean, what are your thoughts before the fight? Who do you think was going to win that one?
To be honest, I only heard the hype about it. I saw his first fight when he fought in France. Looks like a tough guy. I think maybe a little bit too much hype. You know, having the surname Magomedov, you know, the guys automatically think they're super dangerous. You know, but training in Germany is very different to training in Russia. So I think there's a very different approach, more kickboxing approach. And I said it earlier, these guys looked like they're gassed. He looked exhausted.
Yeah.
He put too much effort. Like he wanted to prove that he deserved to be headlining an event. He put too much effort in finishing Strickland. Strickland's a tough guy, he's experienced. And he gassed himself out and Strickland just pieced him up.
Yeah.
And to be honest, Strickland is a very average fighter. That's
why we
average at best.
Yeah.
He's tough and he'll never, in my opinion, never be a champ. I think he'll be easy pickings for the top guys.
Yeah.
It was kind of like, okay, either we build this Magomedov on Strickland's name, or Strickland has a resurgence and now all of a sudden in title contention because he brings a lot of eyes, I think.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense why it was the headline.
I mean, especially in Vegas.
Yeah.
He's not headlining
a
pay-per-view card, but in Vegas, I think he's got a good following. He brings a lot of people to the PI. Creates
some good comments before the fights and after the fight.
He's a piece of shit, but but they love him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And look, you always want to watch him fight because you either want to see him get knocked out or you want to see him win. So he'll bring eyes to the table.
That's exactly the reason why we didn't have him winning, because he's got such a, like, it looks like a 1930s like stereotypical, you know,
old school boxer.
Exactly, precisely. Yeah, so that's why we didn't have Strickland winning. I mean, everything told me it was going to be Pereira 2.0 almost, you know, because of how dynamic Magomedov striking looked. You know, obviously it's outside the UFC. You don't know until they come into the UFC. I know he had the one fight, but you could just see on round 2 he was just dead tired, and then all of his,
even in round 1,
everything was gone.
He pushed too much like into every strike. It was like forcing it. He was like trying to get him out of there. Went to the ground briefly. He tried to finish him on the ground because he got tired. He couldn't strike anymore. You can see like, oh fuck, let me try to choke him, and he couldn't. I think the UFC jitters weren't there because he already fought in Paris in front of a massive crowd. So getting that out of the way kind of like settles the nerves. I think the travel could have been a problem. And also the expectation of, like, because you said, like, people think I don't deserve to be here. Let me prove them wrong. So if you start to worry about what people think and trying to prove the crowd wrong or the fans or the critics wrong, like, you fight for the wrong reasons. Just go there and do your business. You know what I mean? If you're fighting to prove people wrong, your focus isn't where it should be. So I think maybe that's why he felt a little bit of pressure, pushed a little bit too hard, wanted to get him out there, gassed himself out, cost himself the fight.
Yeah. It's true though, because like what you said earlier about the UFC trying to build him up on Strickland's name, it's a win-win always for the UFC, you know, for the promoters. I mean, that's the fight game. And now Strickland goes and wins, so it's like a resurgence for him. But we were saying last week as well, like, for Strickland, even if he wins the fight, like, what happens now? Because he's ranked number 7, but then if you look at, like, you've got Dricus and Robert Whittaker fighting each other to be the number 1 contender. The loser of that fight probably fights Cannonier, which is sort of the next fight in line of that. So what is Strickland going to do? Costa next, or?
Look, Strickland might actually just jump the queue. Like, if Whittaker and Dricus have a crazy war, are they going to be ready in a few months?
True.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The fight, when they want to do that fight in Australia.
10th of September. Yeah, 2 months.
You know what I
from now.
mean? So it's like either one of them would be stupid to take it so quickly, to be honest. You know, because it's not going to be an easy fight. So whoever wins that fight is coming out with some niggles. Might have a bit of a layoff in terms of just being able to heal up, and then taking such a big fight. Like, it's not the wisest idea. For Dricus fighting, if he wins and he fights for the title for the first time, like, do you want to be at 70%?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For Whittaker, who wants to fight and like redeem himself against Izzy again, you know what I mean? Do you want to risk it? So who else is there? Cannonier is boring as shit. They're not going to do that fight again. Maybe Strickland does jump the queue. You never know.
Yeah, maybe. And he's American, so they've jumped Nickal and they've jumped Rosas Jr. above the South African guys. So
you never know. It's possible.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to see Izzy just piece him up though. Like you would, I think you would like dismantle.
Yeah,
I think it would be easy.
No, I think very easy. And look, man, maybe Izzy does take that fight, but you know, they've already built it that the number one contender or the winner of the Dricus Robert fight is going to fight in Australia. So it's going to be kind of hard to go back on it. That's actually very true what you say now. Like, I didn't even think about that because it's literally 2 months. So it's 8th of July, 10th of September. It's literally 2 months.
And so for someone like Dricus who cuts a lot of weight, to do that twice in 2 months, and again to fight the biggest fight of your career, and then to travel so far to get rid of the jet lag, acclimatize, whatever the case is, it's going to be a hell of a task. I mean, it might be too soon, but
yeah, no, let's not go too in detail yet because there's a lot of that. But no, I mean we're going to cover it now in the preview. But okay, so overall as a fight card, what are you saying for this fight card? What are you rating it?
I think last week I said like what was it?
I think you had a 6.5 last week.
Yeah, I'll bump it up to 7.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was really exciting. Yeah, I think that like just the amount of like first or second round TKOs. Yeah, it was a good one. A good one to watch.
You, Mike, what do you give it out of?
The main card or the whole card?
Just the main card.
Yeah, I think it's about a 7 out of 10. I think the undercard like really set the tone for the main event. So I think that when you have a good undercard, it's quite nice. It's easy to have quite an exciting main card. I think the main card delivered. It was cool.
Yeah, I also give it about a 7. Yeah, I think we're 7s across the board. I think I'd love to, like, we only do the main card because of time constraints, but it would be really nice to do the undercard soon because even on UFC 290, okay, that's a stacked card, but on most of these cards, I mean, the UFC, it used to be a time where you would watch like for three fights on the main card, possibly that were like entertaining, and there'd be a couple of filler matches, and then there'd be like real proper filler fights on the prelims. Now you like got early prelims are still like amazing to watch.
Everyone's trying to prove themselves. You know, everyone wants to get that money, those bonuses. Guys are hungry. There's a nice. It's almost like when the guys in the UFC and I don't know if you picked it up a couple of years back. There was wrestlers were dominating, and it was like guys were like, oh, it's getting a bit boring, the grappling stuff. And then UFC got completely brutal with guys who were just like standing and banging, smashing each other's faces in. They almost had a point to prove, and it took like an exciting turn. I think now with everyone on such a high level, grappling, striking, wrestling, and the ability to fight for a title at any moment, get into the rankings, there's a lot to fight for. So guys are really putting it out there. So the guys on the undercard don't want to be on the undercard anymore. They know their bread's buttered on the main card. Get on the main card, you put on a good performance, their careers are made. So guys are hungry.
Yeah, no, most definitely. And very few people have holes in their game these days. So
very few.
So it's a tie again, Jack. So champion retains, unfortunately. Sorry. So I'll take this home for another week. Unfortunately for you, Jack. But
yeah, I got a point to prove.
There's always next week. It's going to be interesting to see what you get for the 290 picks, if you can take a couple of risks or not. Yeah. But yeah, this is going home again with me. So we're going to move on to the UFC 290 card. I know we only do the main card, but we've got Cameron fighting on the prelims finally, not on the early prelims anymore. So we got Cameron Saaiman fighting Terrence Mitchell on the undercard finally. What are you saying for this one, Jack?
Cameron. I think Cameron's got a lot more. He's got a lot more volume on him, and I think that if he rushes Terrence, like I don't think Terrence can deal with that. I think if he manages his range, and like kind of tries to pick Cameron apart, I think he'll have more success. But at the same time, Cameron's like all good all round. I think that's probably the best blueprint Terrence has, but I can't see any way that Cameron doesn't walk away with the win.
Yeah, I think that is Terrence's key to victory because he's so much taller and his range, I'm assuming, must be much bigger. I also think his ground game, if Cameron decides to take this to the ground, which he's got a great ground game. I mean, he's got no holes in his game, Cameron.
Cameron's very well rounded.
I think he could probably pick him apart. I mean, because he's durable. That's his first thing. I mean, but also like with the volume, like you're saying, he's got different combinations. He's got speed, he's got timing, he's got everything. I mean, for me, Cameron, I know he's fighting on the undercard now, and it is Dricus's time right now. But I think Cameron is a future bantamweight champion. It is early days. It's a big call to say early days, but I mean, the way he started he started doing MMA. We're having a conversation about it off camera. He didn't start. You'll be able to better explain this. He didn't start with one thing like jiu-jitsu or kickboxing and had to unlearn bad habits, like you were saying. Straight with MMA and
at the highest level.
At the highest level.
Listen, Cameron's exciting. What I like about Cameron is he doesn't give a fuck. He's not fighting to protect a record or to protect his undefeated record. He is undefeated.
Yes.
He goes out there and puts on a fight. He wants to get it. And I often tell my fighters, don't get a fight. You got an opportunity to fight. You got an opportunity to lay your hands on somebody and you let it slip. You know what I mean? You're going to leave, oh shit, I could have done more. He doesn't do that. Like he goes in every fight I've watched him fight from EFC days into the UFC days, his fight in the Contender Series. He goes for it. He goes for the guys. He's looking for the finish. He's hungry. He's a problem. He's a problem. And I don't know if the reach is going to be such an issue with somebody who goes forward like he does. He's always moving forward. He's got a good chin, so he's happy to take some shots going in. And his wrestling is not bad either. He can wrestle. He can grapple beautifully. I think, if he's switched on and he's not focused on Dricus and what Dricus does in that fight, I think he's going to come away with the win.
No, most definitely. It's 100% true what you say about him not really giving a shit, because we even spoke about it when he was on the podcast about the Contender Series. I think it was 1 round each when he fought Josh Wan Kim, and he still asked, and I think it's because of Mouneimne as well. He said to him, he's like, coach, must I just take him down and ground out the victory? He said, no, we're here to get a finish. You are going to take him out, and that's what he did. And I think a lot of his first 2 fights in the UFC, again, he could have just been boring. His grappling is really good. He's got good top control. He could have just taken the guys down, gone the safe way, and won the fight that way. But he decides to be entertaining, standing with the guys, even after he had those the points taken away in both the fights.
And he came back and he won.
And he won.
He won easily,
decisively.
Look, I think, and when he fought in the Contender Series, like Dana White made quite a big issue of him, saying he's like a badass, whatever.
Yeah, the future.
And the reality is, that's what you're there for. You're there not just to get wins. I mean, you can rack up wins in the UFC and kind of like go unnoticed. But the reality is, if you want to make a name for yourself, you actually have to go there and put on a performance that people talk about, what the fuck? Holy shit. Look at that kid. And I think he does that every time he fights. He gives you that okay, this guy, he's not playing it safe. He's looking for the finish. He doesn't care if you're a jits guy or a wrestler or a striker. He's going to match you everywhere. It's almost like he's got a point to prove. Like, I can beat you anywhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And man, he's got great conditioning. He's got cardio for days. He's got a great attitude. So, I think he's going to go really far.
No, for sure. I think to the top. I mean, definitely.
And he's a cool dude. So you want him to win.
Yeah.
So even if the odds were stacked against him for this fight, I'd still say he's going to win.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
100%.
He's a good oak.
Yeah. Look, I mean, Mitchell's record's 15-2, but I mean, so he's famous for being the guy that was all cocky against Kai Kara France on the Ultimate Fighter and getting KO'd in the first, I think, 2 minutes or something like that. His record is good, but again, it's one of those situations where, almost like Magomedov, it's like outside of the UFC. So you don't know, how good it's going to fare in the UFC. And Cameron's been seasoned. Now, another thing about this fight is it's another tough test for Cameron. One that I think he's going to come through. I mean, like for all the reasons that we've just said. And again, it's just building the blocks for him to just go up the ranks, one step at a time, all the way to the top.
So I think these type of fights where you take you on a guy that's been around, 15-2, good record. I think if you put them away, it really does shoot you up the rankings a little bit quicker, or put you in a position to fight somebody in the top 15 and climb up the rankings. So I think a good win over this guy is going to be like, okay, cool, let's give him a really tough opponent, because he hasn't had shitty guys.
No,
he's also like him and Dricus. I mean, they fought on good cards. They fought on pay-per-view events only. These guys are like, you don't have your shitty fighters on these pay-per-view cards. You just don't. So you always got real guys on these cards, and they're coming out on top. So it's making a statement. It's like, how far can we push these guys? That's why Dricus is in line now for where he is, because he's said yes to tough guys. He's beaten them. Cameron's on the same trajectory. If he carries on like this, putting guys away who are seasoned veterans, 15-2. I mean,
that's impressive. No matter where you fight, that's impressive.
It's a huge record. It's not easy. And to have a loss on the contender series, on tough against a guy who fought for a world title. I mean, like,
that's his only loss. I mean, that's an exhibition fight. So actually, it's not a loss on like a pro loss. But if you look at his record, I think his last loss was like in his 4th or 5th fight only. So technically, he's on like an 11 or 12 fight win streak with that exhibition match. It's massive.
It's massive. So if Cameron does pull it off, I think it puts him up there in the conversations. Okay, let's give this guy top 15 guy, maybe fights on the main card. You never know.
Yeah, it's about time he gets on the main card, because we were both a little bit pissed at that Raul Rosas Jr. They both came from contender series, both young. So it's like a bit of a story building there, but I think he'd smoke him. But
listen, Rosas Jr. Rosas, like, he had a lot of hype, and it was like everyone bought into it. I mean, also you look at the kid, you look at him and go, geez, this kid's built for fighting only. I mean, like, what else he's going to do? He's not going to have a modern career.
Right, fair
You know
enough.
what I mean? Like, he brings something different. Like, people talk about him, he's young, 17 years old when he got on. Like, it's Dana White took a risk on him and paid off. I mean, there's a lot of attention on him. But for Cameron to get the fights he's getting on these cards, it's a big enough statement. It doesn't have to be on the main card or high up in the prelims. Yeah. The fact that you're fighting in Vegas, on T-Mobile Arena, in front of thousands of people, it's pretty cool.
Look, I did ask him, specifically about Dricus not being on Embedded, because of how many main card fights he's had, or how many pay-per-view fights he's had. But he himself said, I mean, it's him and Dricus, they don't care. As long as they're fighting, they'll fight you in the backyard of Stellenbosch, they'll fight you wherever, as long as they're fighting, that's all they want to do. And their mindset, that mindset, and keeping humble and staying humble, that's one of their biggest assets, I think, as well.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at how they interact with
everybody,
but the amateur team, and so a lot of guys get to a level where they don't want to really give back. You know what I mean? So they don't go to amateur events. Some guys don't even go to EFC events. You know what I mean? It's like you just kind of like move past it. And the reality is, these guys are still cornering their fighters. They're cornering their debutants. They got the amateur promotion going, and they're backing their guys. They're in the corners for the amateur guys. They're commentating on amateur events. They're entering grappling comps. Now they're keeping their feet on the ground. They're doing a lot of cool things. And it's easy to be a fan of these guys, based on what they're doing. They're cool guys. You know what I mean? They're not letting, I think they have become famous, especially Dricus. Dricus is he's well known. He's making lots of money. Everyone knows who he is, but he's got time for everyone.
Yeah.
He really does.
It's great to see.
How you thinking this fight's going to go for Cameron? What's his way of finish?
I think.
Or is it a finish, or what are you thinking?
I think finish out second round TKO.
Second round TKO. Mike, what you thinking?
I don't know. I think it's going to go 3 rounds. I think if he doesn't pull it off late in the third, I think he'll win. Split decision.
Split?
I think a split decision. I think it's going to be tough. This guy's got a point to prove coming back to the UFC. I think it's also last minute replacement.
Yeah, they switched it up.
I think he's going to come in hungry. Like I said, the hunger to prove yourself in the UFC these days is a really big thing at the moment. And these guys aren't going to be like, oh, I want to stop the momentum. I want to be the guy that puts this guy in the place. I think he'll make it difficult for Cameron. I think Cameron will win. I think he'll be great. I think it'll be a tough fight.
Okay, I'm going to go unanimous decision for Cameron if it's not a TKO. So I'm giving 2 results, but I'm staying on unanimous decision. I think you are right, Mike. Like, it is going to be tough, but I think Cameron, he's so dynamic that he can adjust to any situation. So the first round might be tough. He might even lose the first round. But then I think he'll be able to make him and Boniface will be able to make the adjustments so that if he doesn't put him away in the second or third round, that it's a unanimous decision. If he does, I think he'll definitely win the second and third rounds. If the first one's
tough. Look, especially if he's, and he's going to come out in good shape. He always is. Look, he also trains with taller guys. He's got a lot of tall guys in his camp. So I don't think the height's going to be too much of an issue. I just think the guy coming back with a point to prove is going to create a little bit of difficulty. But I think it's going to be a good fight, and I think he comes out on top.
Yeah,
I have to say split.
Split, yeah? No, that's good. So we got a finish, we got a unanimous decision, we got a split decision, but we're all going for Cameron with the win.
100%.
So, awesome. Okay, then the next one we've got Bo Nickal and Tresean Gore. What are we saying for this one, Jack?
I have Bo Nickal, as much as I don't want to, but like I think that he does get this done. Gore, he's got an impressive resume. It's definitely it's a step up, but yeah, I still have Bo. I think that his skill set, I don't know. I haven't seen a hole in his skill set yet.
What do you? So what do you? What's the method you got? What do you think?
I think submission. I'm not sure which round, but I think that probably the cardio. I mean, the cardio of a wrestler. If it's really going to depend on cardio of Gore, but like I think Bo can outwork him pretty easy.
Mikey, what you got?
I think Bo Nickal will take it. I don't like Gore at all. Watch the Ultimate Fighter where he was on. It's just I couldn't get on. I couldn't support him.
Yeah,
I didn't like him at all. He's tough, but I think emotional. I think Bo Nickal is just going to be too clinical for him. I think Bo can finish him on the feet and on the floor. So I think Gore will come out. It's one of two ways. Either going to come out banging, try to put him away early, or he's going to be very tentative and he's going to let Bo Nickal just take him down. But either way, Bo Nickal wins and wins easily.
Yeah, I've also got. I mean, okay, so that's 3 Bo Nickals. Yeah, I think I originally thought take him to ground and pound, but you are right. I mean, like, I don't believe the hype on Gore. You know, I mean, it's been crushed a little bit with his 2 losses. There's a lot of hype after Tough, but Bo Nickal's just a different level. There's levels, and Bo Nickal, I don't believe yet, because I mean he may well be at one of the sort of towards the middle to top level, but I need to see a bit more, I need to see a bit more against some tougher opponents. What he's done so far has been nothing short of spectacular. But he's definitely the next level above Tresean. Definitely.
Listen, I think these elite level wrestlers, guys who are winning championships in America, like, you used to being competitive, you used to being a champion, you used to working your ass off. I don't think he's going to slow down in his MMA career. I think he's driven just like he was when he wrestled. He's going to be a handful. I mean, he's a big guy. He's got range. He's got wrestling. He's got power in his hands, and he's got slick chits. Like, I think he makes Gore look like an amateur.
Yeah,
like for real.
Yeah.
If Gore wins, that's a huge upset. Whoever bets on him is going to make a lot of money.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if you checked the betting odds, Jack. Did you see any of the odds for this fight?
I didn't see for this fight.
Yeah, it must be mad in
Bo Nickal's
favor. Yeah, geez, like, okay. So I think we're all going to go Bo Nickal by murder, or what do we got? Yeah, pretty quick round 1, eh?
I think so. Yeah. I think it's too much.
That's a perfect analogy what you said, actually, because it is going to go one of 2 ways. He's just going to go out guns blazing. But either way, it's not going to be enough. Or he's going to be very tentative, and then it's just both of them play into Bo Nickal's hands.
So I think Gore is the type of fighter that if you're afraid of him, he kind of feeds off that fear, and you're like a bully complex. I think he'll come at you, but if you don't respect him, if you can't scare you, and I don't think he's going to scare Bo Nickal, I think he's got nothing. I think he's going to be put in his place early. That's just my opinion.
So what about? So we were talking about Sean Strickland. Okay, so if he doesn't fight for the title, is Bo Nickal ranked yet? I don't think he is. Is he?
I don't know. Okay. Does he need to be?
No, well, that's what so there's been a few FUs to the rankings lately, but I mean, I don't know. We had this debate of whether the rankings still really mean much. And maybe Bo Nickal and Sean Strickland, but then you're going to derail any momentum Sean Strickland's had.
Yeah, I don't think Sean Strickland takes that fight. I think Bo Nickal is going to be in a position like Khamzat. Okay. You're going to have guys who are like, talk shit about you, I'll smash him, whatever, but they won't sign the contract. I mean, that's why you got a guy who he had the fastest turnaround in UFC history, sitting on his ass, doing nothing because nobody wants to fight him. You know what I mean? I think Bo Nickal is going to be the same. I think he's fought quite regularly, but
People
I
are going to
think
start ducking him soon.
Yeah.
Well, so wasn't Khamzat? Wasn't there talk of Khamzat and Paulo Costa fighting each other?
far as I heard, was Khamzat and Usman.
Yeah, and Khamzat and Usman. Yeah.
So apparently that's a done deal, but it's all.
That's in August, I think. They were supposed to do it in Abu Dhabi, I think.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Sure. Yeah, that would be. That's a fight we want to see.
Yeah, I'd love to see that fight.
Yeah, Usman and Khamzat.
I don't
Paulo
think-
Costa and Khamzat.
Yeah, I think that'll be a good fight.
I don't think Paulo Costa will go in there timid at all. You know, that's another thing. Was like, okay, Khamzat, listen, freak train of note. Like, I mean, it's not down to people being scared of him, but I think if you look at the Gilbert Burns fight, where he had his first top contender that wasn't scared to go in there and just, you know, bite down on his gum guard and try and give him a go, he struggled a little bit. And I think with the Paulo Costa's going to have the same. He's not going to be easily put away, and it's going to be a good fight, I think, if they had that fight.
I don't think so. I think he puts Paulo Costa away.
Really?
Yeah, I think he puts him away easy. I think the Gilbert Burns fight was the best thing that could have happened to Khamzat. I think that I can beat anyone, I can touch anyone up, drop anyone, sleep anyone, choke anyone. Like, you realize, okay, cool. There is a higher level, and I took him a little bit lightly. I don't think he'll do it again. I think it was a good wake up call for him.
So do you think he'll be more measured if he fights Paulo Costa, or do you think he'll just overwhelm Paulo Costa? He's just too good for him.
I don't think he'll be more measured. I think he'll come out like he always does, comes out hot. I just don't think he'll force a finish.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I think he tried to force a finish with Gilbert, and he got tired. And very similar to Abus with Strickland.
Yeah.
Forcing the finish, got tired, just couldn't come back, couldn't rally back. But Khamzat can rally back. He fought a tough fight. Yeah, so I think
at the end of the day, he won that fight still. So
No, he won.
whatever hardships he had, he still won that fight.
100%. Look, Gilbert Burns is a machine.
Yeah.
He's not an easy fight at all. I just, like I said, I think every now and again in a fight, you need somebody to wake you up and go, okay, cool. I didn't listen to my coach. I didn't follow the plan. I took him too easy. I won't do that again.
Is Khamzat going to fight at 185? You know, or I mean, that's the talk. I mean, that he's going to go.
I
to
think
85.
he should. I think he's a massive guy. He can make 170. I don't think he can't make 170. I just think it's better for him at 185, in my opinion. And I think chasing Izzy down is a lot easier to win than fighting the wrestlers at 170.
Do you think he'll skip the queue? I mean, ahead of some. Well, I say skip the queue, but really after Dricus and Robert, there's not really much. I mean, going on at the title contention.
Apparently, there's Sean.
Well, maybe sure. Yeah. Well, Sean could. Well, that's a queue skipping. You know, that's also queue skipping. So
yeah, but Sean will be like, who hasn't the champ fought? You got two big trash talkers. They will sell a lot of tickets. Pay-per-view buys will go crazy. But also the champ has a say in who he wants to fight. No, if I was a champ and I've been a champ for a long time, I want to be the greatest of all time. Do I want to fight a guy like Khamzat? Not a fuck. I don't want to fight that guy. I think Izzy's past.
Trying to prove that he can smoke anybody.
You know what I mean? I think he doesn't have a lot of fights left. I think he'll get out before he can. If he can beat Dricus, and it's a whole New Zealand versus Africa rivalry, which is quite cool. Make a lot of money. Shut up a guy that offended him. You know,
out the division from 1 through to 6.
Yeah, and then he's like, I beat everybody. What else am I going to do now? He's got enough money. He can retire. Yeah. There's no reason for him to carry on doing it. Will he risk a fight with Khamzat? I don't think so. I think Khamzat buries him.
No? Okay.
Buries him.
I'd still like to see it, but yeah.
Me too.
I mean,
I'd love to see it. I think, and this we'll probably chat about it later.
Yeah.
But I think somebody like Dricus
has the best chance.
Can if he does get there, I think he inspires a lot of people with the wrestling.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so we're all going Bo Nickal.
Yeah.
Finish. Definitely.
100%.
Okay. Then we got Jalin Turner versus Dan Hooker. Interesting fight, this one. Who you got, Jack?
Oh, I actually, this was a tough one for me to call. I think Jalin, he's like such a good prospect, but I still have Dan. I know Dan's like had a very stop-starty career, and like that fight against Allen was like Yeah. But I mean, I think him at lightweight, that's a better move. Or it's the best move you can make. And I still think he's a good fighter, you know. But yeah, at the same time, like Jalen's just such a good prospect. It's like I have Jalin, but I want Dan to win.
So you're picking Jalin to win this one? Yeah. Dan Hooker's one of those. It's an odd one. He's hot and cold, and you never know what you're going to get with him. And he's got all the talent in the world. He's got everything, but it's just kind of like, I don't know. Is it mindset? Is it, you know, what do you think it is that gets him to have these amazing performances and then these like almost horrible performances? I don't want to call it horrible, but it's, you know, it's hot and cold.
I think part of it, he's chinny. I think he's been in too many wars. He's had a lot of tough fights. He's not scared to throw down. He puts on exciting fights every time he fights. So especially like the Poirier fight. I think the Poirier fight took a lot out of him. I think it took a lot out of his career, especially because he turns around quite quickly.
Yeah, very quickly.
So I don't think he had a lot of time to recover between all his wars. You know what I mean? Like he's had really tough guys. If you look at his career, I mean, the guys he fought, I mean, they're all the top 5, top 6 guys. He's not shy of anyone, and he puts on great fights. I just don't think, I don't know if he's had enough time to recover from the Allen fight. I'd like to see him win. I don't think he does.
Yeah.
I think he's one of those guys who there's so much potential, but I think Turner just comes in, puts him out.
I've also got that. I mean, I think Dan Hooker, like you say, is game, but because of that, he's too easily hit. And Turner's powerful. I mean, I was watching him. He was sparring with Khamzat Chimaev. We're talking about Khamzat. Did you see? I don't know if you saw that footage. Did you see the size of the guy?
At Tiger Muay Thai, yeah.
Did you see the size of the dude?
He's a monster.
He's huge.
Look, but it's the first time that Dan Hooker's not going to have the extreme height advantage, I think. He's very rangy. But it's also his high mileage. You know, these guys who fight exciting fights have high mileage. You know what I mean? You can't maintain that. It's great for bonuses, great for your
great for the UFC because you've got a game fighter all the time.
But I don't know how much toll it takes on your chin. I don't know if he's going to be able to take the punishment that he could take 2-3 years ago. You know what I mean? So, and Turner's got knockout power. This guy, he's not scared to throw. And he's clean. He's a good striker. So I think he can land hands and feet on him. You know what I mean? If I was Hooker, I'd try to put his ass down quickly.
That's what I was going to say as well. Yeah, that's sort of his key to victory. But look, Dan Hooker, you know, you need these guys in you know, he's got these quick turnaround times. It's great. Always going to be a fan favorite, kind of like Donald Cerrone. You know, although Donald Cerrone ended up fighting for a title. But
look at Cerrone.
Yeah, but you see, so always entertaining, great for the organization, but for their careers, like you say. I don't know if it's a money thing. I don't know if it's just a thing about trying to prove yourself as being game all the time. But that turnaround time is nothing to be scoffed at. No, and now this looks dangerous. Look, if Dan Hooker says no, you know, you don't want to be the person that says no, but you also want to be the person that maybe says yes to everything too quickly. And yes, he's saying yes and he's stepping up, but it's not the best for his career.
Look, I think he's also in the shadow of Izzy, so you kind of want to like pull away and go like, listen, I can do this on my own. I'm a superstar as well. You know, I can fight great fights. I can take champions or interim champs like Dustin Poirier, guys in the top 5, and go 5 rounds with them and be up there with these guys. So I think trying to fight out of somebody else's shadow is also something that maybe he's doing, like trying to like set himself apart. But yeah, this is going to be a tough one. And you're always going to go back to, when the fight gets tough, you're going to go back to what you're used to, what you're most comfortable with. And he's a stand and bang type of guy.
Yeah.
So he's not going to shoot and try to put Terrence on the ground. When Terrence hits him, he's going to swing back, trying to put him out. He's going to try to clinch him, try to knee him. And it's going to get into a firefight early. He doesn't know how to have a boring fight.
Yeah, that's true. So, okay. So we're all going for Turner on this one, eh? Okay.
I think Hart's with
Dan Hooker.
With Dan.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, if you're in the shadow of Izzy all the time, do you wait for him to retire? Do you leave camps? You got to stay loyal to the camp that you've been with. You know, it's a tough situation to be in for him, I guess. You know, or do you just get smarter about the way you fight and just realize?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because he's never fought for a title. His team, Car France, fought for a title. Izzy's been a champ. You know, there's guys who are doing it, and he's like probably the most experienced out of all of them.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's
a tough situation to be in. Yeah.
Just such a division.
Yeah. Where's he ranked now? He's still in the top 10.
I don't think. Maybe top 10.
Yeah.
Maybe top 15.
Yeah.
I mean, after a couple of losses, he's going to, getting finished by Makhachev early.
Yeah.
Like, I think your stock drops, so I think he's got a lot to prove.
Yeah. Well, listen, Dan Hooker, I hope you get it done. But sorry, we're picking Jalin Turner.
Sorry, man.
Okay. Now we get to the fight that I look. We're going to get to the Volkonovski fight. I want to talk a lot about that. One of my favorite fighters. But I think it's good, especially because Dricus has trained at PFA a couple of times, and you guys know each other quite well, to sort of spend a bit more time on this fight, and obviously because he's representing us. So. Robert Whittaker, this is for me the big fight. Robert Whittaker versus Dricus du Plessis. What are we thinking first off for this fight? What is the key to victory for Dricus? What do you think, Jack? If you have Dricus winning,
I do have. It's a tough fight. I think if I'm edging towards Dricus split decision, and I think the way he wins is just like make it a brawl, but like not get hit too much. So just like really utilize your boxing, keep it on the feet. I wouldn't want to go to the ground with Rob. I know you said that he's good at wrestling. I just haven't seen too much of his wrestling.
Who? Dricus?
Dricus.
Yeah, he can wrestle. He can wrestle. Listen, Robert Whittaker is a motherfucker of a fighter. That's the only way you can put him. He's got unorthodox striking. He's got good wrestling. He's fought the best guys in the world. And he's beat the best guys in the world. He's been champ. I think he knows what it takes. Like he's going to be the hardest fight for Dricus. I think even if he gets past him, I think Whittaker is probably one of the toughest fighters. I mean, look who's put away.
Yeah.
I mean, you beat guys like Yair, you beat guys like Yair Romero, not scared to stand and trade. He's a scary individual. He is a scary individual, but I don't know if you can prepare for somebody like Dricus. I want Dricus to win because I know the guy. He's South African. He gets a title shot if he beats him. So it's a little bit.
We're a bit biased.
Yeah, not a little bit biased. We're a lot biased.
Yeah.
But saying that, I think Robert Whittaker is not the same Robert Whittaker he was a couple of years ago. I think again when you have these fights like with Yair Romero, you have these tough fights. You're going through.
Goes less.
That life bar, although you got full health, your ability to take punishment, it reduces. So you take one shot and all of a sudden the power bar goes to halfway. And I think Yair Romero, these two fights with him, really messed up Whittaker's chin. And I think it really compromised him when he fought Izzy. I think if you watch his fights, he's also been a guy that's had barn burners. He's never in a boring fight. And I think that where you're super emotional. I mean, he's a Kiwi. These guys are super emotional. You see how he comes out bang on his chest. There's a lot of emotion that comes out in his fights. I think because of it, he's always in an exciting fight. But he hasn't had somebody like really come at him. Yair Romero got into a firefight with him, but you're also like a stand and wait type of guy. I mean, if you don't take it to him, you're gonna have a boring fight like with him and Izzy.
Yeah.
I think Dricus has a bit opportunity to put him away. I think people underestimate Dricus' power. He's a fucking strong guy. Like he's got crazy power.
Yeah. Everybody that's sort of trained with him or held pads has said that.
Yeah, he's
and it's controlled. It's not just like, I'm hitting it. Oh, geez, I don't know I could do that. It's like means to do it every single time, and he's precise.
100%. Look, he's got a weird style, but that's not because he can't punch or he can't kick. He's got good striking, but he's got awkward movement. So his movement is what kind of like throws you off. So you know kind of what's coming, but he throws it differently because he moves differently. And I mean, the guy's he's a unit. He's like 100 kgs fighting at middleweight. He cuts a fucking Backstreet Boy to get down to middleweight. You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
And he's got power to back it up. So yeah, my heart's going with him. I think it's going to be a good fight. It's going to be tough. I think he's going to be taken to deep waters, but I think he can actually knock him out.
Yeah. So do you think it is going to be his key to victory is to stay standing with him and then have his unorthodox striking? Or, I mean, do you think he takes it where it needs to go? So does what he needs to do. So if it's standing, he stays standing. If you were coaching him, like what would be your game plan for Rob?
If I was coaching him, I'd want to make it dirty box him, get in the single contact clinch, elbows, knees, not go to the floor with Rob. Not because I think Rob can finish him. I think Rob can wrestle well, he can scramble well. I think he'll get back to his feet well. So I think it'll be a lot more exhausting to take him down because you'll have to take him down again. Right. So I don't think holding Whittaker down is very easy. So I think, but controlling him against the cage, make him carry your weight, hitting with dirty shots. He's good with elbows and knees and uppercuts to the cage. I think he'll wear him down. And then maybe take him down in the later rounds where he's kind of taking his gas out. I think that's how I'd want him to fight if he was my guy. But again, Dricus is unpredictable, man.
Yeah.
Like he's got bombs in his hands. So if he lands a right cross, who knows? Maybe we'll put him out.
I actually thought he should take him to the ground. But because I just think from what I've seen with Dricus, his top control is amazing. And I know Rob can get to his, Rob's very good at getting to his feet and he's very good in the scrambles. He's got very good counter wrestling. But I think why I thought take it to the ground is also for the same reason you're saying, no, is make it ugly. You're going to make it an ugly fight. It's his key to victory. One question I have for you. So I know, Dricus has got power and Dricus is good going forward, but maybe incorrectly I've noticed this. When he goes forward, it's almost like on a straight line. Is that a problem or not? Because I would think, if you're going forward, you're kind of still working a little bit with angles so that the person doesn't know where your head is supposed to be. Is that a fair assessment? Or
yeah, I think against a really calculated striker, if your head doesn't move for center when you're moving forward, I think you can be tagged quite easily.
So like if he was to fight Izzy, then that would be...
But again, the motherfucker can take a punch. You know what I mean?
I'm just worried about the bar, that when does it... Because you're right, yes, of course, tough as nails.
He hasn't been in wars where he's taken lots of punishment to the chin. He hasn't been rocked, damaged. I think he's been stopped once in his career, and that was in Poland.
He got clipped there in that fight more than anything.
He knocked Soljic out the first time they fought a rematch. It was vice versa. I think it was, that's being young, immature, cocky, thinking I did it before, I can do it again. I think he's matured a lot. So I don't think he'll make stupid mistakes and just get tagged easily.
Right.
I think he'll be difficult to hit because he does move in and out quite well. But he can take a punch. And I think being able to take a shot so you can land something is what he's worked quite well with. And if you looked in all his fights, he's taken shots and he's managed to connect and put the guy to sleep.
Yeah, he's given more damage than he's taken.
100%.
Yeah, okay.
And that Brad Tavares fight was...
Yeah, Brad Tavares is a beast, eh?
But that was a great performance. And you know what I mean? If you look at... He struck for 3 rounds. He used a lot of output. He showed a lot of guts and character. And Tavares is hell of experience. I mean, he's had a lot of fights in the UFC. He's not a pussy. That guy can go. So I think Dricus will have confidence. He's beat top guys. He's beat tough guys. He beat real contenders. Coming to a fight like that, I think the confidence will probably carry him across the line.
And the momentum, yeah. So obviously he's had his no surgery. And there was a lot made about that. A lot of people saying, that's kind of like Usman's 30% excuse when he was fighting, kind of thing. What do you think of the whole situation? Do you think it was really the way it played out, or?
Yeah, look, I mean, I think he wouldn't lie about it. You know what I mean? You don't lie about it. He had that interview with Ariel Hawani where he showed him like holding one nose and trying to breathe. The thing didn't move. So there definitely was a massive issue with it. Where that happens, I mean, he's got great cardio, but it doesn't look like it because he's not able to recover because you can't get that oxygen back. I think with it being fixed, he'll be able to be explosive and he'll get tired, but he'll be able to recover. So, being able to reset after a massive exchange, get your breath back. If you can't breathe through your nose, you can't get the right amount of oxygen in, where you're always like hyperventilating to get your breath in. it really does impact you. The reason why you don't breathe in and out of your mouth, you're using your diaphragm the whole time. It's not calming. It uses more muscles to get the oxygen in. It's not a great idea. So with him being able to breathe through his nose, breathe into his nose, out through his mouth, being able to regulate his breathing better, his recovery will be much better. And I think if he can recover and be able to go 0 to 100,
and have that output but sustain it and recover,
So he'll be able to be super explosive, recover, and be super explosive again. I think he'll remain dangerous over 3 rounds. How it fares over 5 rounds, I don't know. Haven't seen him go 5 rounds a lot, but I think over 3 rounds, it'll make a difference.
No, 100%. Yeah. Look, I mean, you're right. Look, with just what you said earlier is like I've always said that Robert Whittaker is a harder fight for him than Israel Adesanya. So this is literally his. And I'm not saying if he wins this fight, then Izzy's an easy fight. But for Dricus to come through this, I think will do a bunch of things. His confidence will stay sky high. I mean, I have no doubt that when he says he's coming to win this fight and to finish Rob, he's not just saying that for the cameras. And he believes that. We all believe that. But the thing it's going to do for his confidence, and then people are also going to start noticing, because we all know what Dricus, I mean, we've seen him fighting in South Africa. I know it's a different level and everything, but we all know what Dricus is capable of. And now it's going to be a good thing for the whole world to see it, because people are counting him out in this fight. Some people are saying this is going to be easy piece up for Rob. For me, it's 50-50. Those are the odds for this. One thing I will say is, no matter who Dricus has ever faced, he's always risen to the occasion. So I know he had his loss when he was young. He had 2 losses when he was young. But I mean, he's had fights where he's been the young fighter and he might not have been the favorite, and he always rises to the occasion. He always finds a way to win, even with his nose problem now. He could have easily just been like, what, I'm tired. I'm not gonna fight. I'm just gonna stop. I'm gonna quit. But he always finds a way to win. And
he doesn't have quit in him.
Doesn't.
Yeah. A lot of guys, and I've seen it a lot on the local scene, and I've seen it in UFC. Aljamain Sterling, how he won his fight. You know what I mean?
We're big fans of Aljamain. No, I'm joking. I'm just kidding.
But there are so many guys who will take the easy way out because it's on offer. It's like, okay, cool. I got kneed in the face. I'll just fall down and cry. You know what I mean? And get a belt and move on from there. You know what I mean? I don't think he has it in him. So I don't think he can take the easy way out. And that's why taking a fight like with Robert Whittaker, I mean, it's a dangerous fight. It's a super tough fight. And it's not against a guy that hasn't had a belt before. So you're fighting a guy who had the belt, defended the belt, fought monsters to be there. He's a scary individual. Robert Whittaker is a scary individual.
Take Izzy out of the picture and Robert Whittaker would be the champ for probably as long as what Izzy has been.
100%. So, I think you're 100% right with
that. So if they don't fight in 2 months from now, what do you think? So okay. So we're all going for Dricus to win, obviously. If they don't fight in 2 months, if the turnaround is too quick, do you still think they fight this year? Do you think they wait maybe for UFC Africa? That's my big dream, to have Izzy and Dricus fight, but I don't know how soon that is. So they probably make a card later in the year, right? I mean that's the only logical thing.
The reality is Izzy does what Izzy wants. I think he'll
demand it.
He'll demand it. He'll demand a fight, because I think you also know, having these guys come out of a war, it's a lot easier to beat these guys when they've just come out of war. Short turnaround time gives them a better opportunity to win the fight. I don't think he gives a shit about what their condition is. And the reality, there's always someone for him to fight. No one's going to turn around and say, no, I don't want to fight you for the title. I don't want an opportunity to make myself a multimillionaire overnight. You know what I mean?
And the possibility of maybe beating you, there's always that chance.
He's no longer undefeated. So it's like, okay, cool, he can be beat. People kind of know how to beat him. He's been beaten at light heavyweight. He's been beaten at middleweight. So, okay, that aura of invincibility is kind of gone. And he looks human now. You know what I mean? And I think if you fight Izzy, and where Izzy is difficult to fight is, I go back to the Chuck Liddell phase where everyone wanted to just knock Chuck Liddell out because everyone hated him. So he was a great counter puncher. He'll knock you out because he's got big power, because they want to prove that they can beat you at your own game. I think a lot of guys are fighting Izzy with that same mentality, where I want to beat you at your own game. I want to prove that I'm better than you. I can knock you out. And they end up getting slept. I think if whoever fights him is a little bit more mature in their approach and comes out with, okay, cool, he He can grapple, he can wrestle, but he's not 100% comfortable there. I'm going to beat him at this part of the game. I think he'll give himself a better opportunity to win. Anyone fights emotionally to try to beat him is going to get counterpunched and knocked out.
Yeah, and I don't think Dricus will do that. I mean, the closest thing to someone trying to get him emotional was Bahati, and that didn't even really work. So, I mean, he won't. I don't think he'll get emotional. I don't know him, but from what I've seen, I don't think his coach will allow him to either.
Look, I don't think beating him at his own game is something that's big on his mind. I think he wants to just beat you. So you're a great striker, I can outstrike you. He doesn't give a shit. So it's MMA, so I can beat you on the feet, on the floor, it doesn't make a difference. So I think he just wants to win. Yeah. It's not like I want to beat you because you're a great striker, I want to beat you at striking. A lot of guys fight like that. I think Shevchenko is a champion that fights like that. Where you're a great striker, I want to stand with you. Oh, you're a great grappler, I'm going to take you down. You know what I mean? You're a good boxer, I'm going to box with you. I think you get champions that are like that, and you get people who just want to win.
Yeah. Okay. So we're saying Dricus. You saying what's you said decision, eh?
Yeah,
what decision? You going finish?
Oh, I see it. If Dricus loses, he's losing because he got finished. And if he wins, he's winning because he finished him. I don't think it's going to be a fight that goes the distance. I don't see how this one goes the distance. Yeah. To be honest. I think they got so much to prove. I think there's a lot riding on it. So I think I'm hoping for a finish. I hope Dricus finishes him. If he does, it'll be around 2 or 3. It's hard to predict.
Yeah, it is hard to predict. Look, we only try to say, so we can get a bonus point or whatever the next week. But I think anything for Dricus in this fight, I don't think hurts his stock unless he gets finished. So, if he loses a decision, which I think if he does lose, I think he does lose a decision because Robert Whittaker hasn't finished anybody for a couple of fights. Not to say he can't. Yeah. And I can understand why you say, but I think Dricus is tough and durable enough, especially in a 3-round fight, that Rob's going to really have to have a couple of clean shots to finish him. I feel.
Yeah, it won't definitely be a knockout. Maybe a TKO.
Yeah.
And likewise, I think. But if Dricus wins by knockout, it's by knockout because Robert's sleeping. It's not going to be a TKO. It's going to be like he's dossing.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm also going Dricus by finish, but only because I think I don't think it's going to be a close fight. Like you said, there's going to be probably a finish either way. And if Rob, for some reason, Dricus can't KO him or can't finish him, he's still going to be dominant in his approach because of the way that he is key to victory, making it ugly. And I think he will do that. So, I think Dricus as well by finish, maybe round 3. But the sooner the better, Dricus. If you do it in the first 30 seconds, and then after that, listen, if you fight Izzy and all that, obviously everyone will be behind you. And
100%.
Hoping one day you get to finally have your title run throughout South Africa and land in OR Tambo like the Springboks do with the World Cup trophy. Do the same thing with the UFC belt. We've had the EFC belt here as well. I'm hoping we have the UFC belt here as well one day in the studio. But I think Dricus definitely continues to rise, and then now everybody knows about it.
Listen, it's a possibility. He really has stepped up. Like I said, you make a name for yourself by fighting big names, and he's fought good names. He's fought big names. I think he's fighting these big names at the right time. You know what I mean? He fought Darren Till, massive name, fought him at the right time. Still dangerous, but just I think the stars have aligned for him. So I think with the way they've aligned, I think they're going to continue to align. So I think he'll get through this one.
Yeah. Cool. So we're all going for Dricus on that one. Next one. This is an interesting one, just because of the history. Brandon Moreno versus Alexandre Pantoja. Sorry. Pantoja. What are you saying for this one, Jack?
Moreno. I think that Pantoja's just good on the feet, but I mean, if you had asked me this maybe like 3 years ago, I would have said Pantoja, and that you can outclass him on the feet. But just Brandon's gotten so much better because of those battles with I'm forgetting his name.
Figueiredo. Yes, there we go.
I think that he can match him on the feet. If not beat him there. But I think if it goes to grappling, I think he's just got the edge.
Okay. So you go Moreno, and Mikey, what you got?
Pantoja. I love Moreno. I think the quadrilogy with Figueiredo.
Never ending.
I think that gave him, that wasn't good for his career. I think focusing on one person so much. I think Figueiredo he's a monster. He's an assassin. But the reality is he's not Pantoja. I think Pantoja's too well rounded. His ground game is next level. He's got massive power in his hands. He's beaten him twice, and Moreno has improved. I love him. He's such a cool character, amazing champion. You can't not want him to win. But when somebody's beat you twice,
aren't they 1-1?
No, it's 2-0. Pantoja beat him twice. Finished him twice.
Did he? Sure, I could have sworn I saw it.
I think he finished him twice. No,
can we check that quickly?
You can.
So you were saying you lose 2-0 when someone beats you twice, or something like that.
Yeah. So I think a lot of fighters have a boogeyman. There's just one guy that you can't beat.
Yeah,
it happens quite a lot in fighting, where somebody's just got your number. And I think Pantoja's that guy for Brandon Moreno. I don't think Brandon Moreno can beat him. I think it'll be a good fight early on, but I think Pantoja is just having the confidence of knowing that you beat somebody twice and having the hunger to be a champ. Sitting on the sidelines, you're watching this guy, all the fame, all the money, all the recognition. He's all over the world now. He's a household name. And sitting at home, watching the fights with your popcorn going, I smashed that rope.
Yeah, twice.
I smashed him twice. Like, how the fuck is he the champ? And I'm sitting here eating my popcorn, watching him on pay-per-view.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think that motivation is going to be huge. And again, it changes your life. Look at Moreno's lifestyle. His life has changed. When you become a UFC champ, your life changes. You know what I mean? You're no longer just a fighter. You're a multi-millionaire.
Yeah.
So I think Pantoja is going to be hungry. He's got a point to prove that he is the better fighter, and he's got the
he's got the number. He's got his number over him.
2-0.
Yeah, I've gone the same thing. So I've also said Pantoja. I think Moreno has improved, like you said, Jack. But I think Pantoja again. It's got. I think Mike took everything I wanted to say.
Sorry,
no. But listen, you perfectly said it for all the reasons Mike has said. But then also, like Pantoja is also getting better. I think Moreno's gotten better since their last fight. But I think the step that Moreno's gotten better, Pantoja's gotten even better.
Yeah.
Than he does. So I'm also going to go Pantoja, possibly a finish. Possibly a finish. Yeah. So I'll.
I hear what you guys are saying, where it's like, where you train too much for this one person's style. I don't know. I still have him. I don't know.
Yeah. That's good. Look, I mean,
I look at Pantoja, and you look at who he's surrounded with in terms of training partners. You look at Moreno. His camp's been very unsettled. It was with James Krause, and then he's with what's the other guy's name? There.
Wasn't he with
He's with George Capello now.
Yeah.
He's in his own little training camp, and he was with that other guy from Texas, or I can't remember the name now. Saif Saud. He was with him also in the last fight. So I think he's not unsettled, but it's a lot of different. There are a lot of different people. Pantoja's been with the same camp for many years. You know what I mean? Like, he's been working with the same people. He's been evolving. ATT is one of the best teams around. They've got the best coaches around. So I think, and also he's a nobody. He's not a champ. You know what I mean? I think with Moreno, you kind of call the shots.
A lot of pressure as well.
He's also very famous now. Everyone wants to be a part of him. Everyone's trying to take like a little bit of, like, I train him type of thing. Trying to get some accolades off his back. So I think it's going to be. I don't see Pantoja losing.
Yeah. No, me too.
I like Moreno, and I like him to win.
Yeah.
But I don't see him winning.
Yeah. Okay. So we both going Pantoja, you going Moreno. So that's good. We got someone.
Yeah.
Someone's got to get.
But how?
Get it. I'm going to finish Pantoja submission. You?
I'm gonna say unanimous decision.
What you got, Mike?
I think unanimous decision.
Okay.
Decision.
Okay, for Pantoja.
I don't think Moreno's easy to finish unless he puts him to sleep with the choke.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, he's going to choke him. Okay, main event: Alexandre, Volkonovski, Yair Rodriguez. What you got, Jack?
Yo, that's a tough one. It's like very much a tough one. I can't bet against Alex, but at the same time, I can't, not take the threat of Yair seriously. I think it's Alex's toughest test. Definitely. But yeah, I think that Alex keeps the belt.
Okay. So I'm gonna go next if you don't mind, because I'm scared we're gonna say the same thing.
No, so
I'm gonna think I'm copying you.
I got carried away. Sorry,
Yeah,
you shouldn't have put me next to the microphone.
No. So
I must be with 3 people in the room.
No. So it's only because otherwise people are gonna say I'm copying you. But I actually don't think it's as tough as I initially thought it was gonna be very tough for Volk. And Yair Rodriguez is not a slouch or anything, but I think Yair Rodriguez. The problem with Yair Rodriguez is he did struggle a little bit against Josh Emmett.
Yeah.
And for a number of reasons, but Yair Rodriguez is one of those guys, he just fights without fear, and that's a good thing and a bad thing. Like, I mean, he'll throw flying knees, but then he'll end up on his back. So that's where you can't do that against Alexandre Volkonovski. And I think Volkonovski showed as well with Makhachev, that he's just on a different level. I feel he's just on a different level. And I think it's not as close as what people are going to, what I initially thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
And I also think Yair Rodriguez, even if you look at the Josh Emmett fight, he did get dominated on the ground a little bit, until he threw that flying knee, and then he ended up triangling Josh Emmett. So I think Volkanovski's so good everywhere. I think he wins this fight, and then I think he either fights Topuria next, or he goes up to 155 if he gets the chance and he fights Islam Makhachev again. So I'm going to go Volkanovski as well. Mm-hmm. Mikey, what you got?
Going Volkanovski, I think he makes it look easy. Easy.
I had a feeling you were going to say that. That's why I wanted to go first.
I don't think there's a guy at 45 that can beat Volkanovski.
Topuria?
Topuria can't. I like Topuria. I think he's very dangerous. I think Volkanovski puts him to sleep. I think he KOs him. Confidence, man. Confidence. That guy is confident. No one thought he could be anywhere. They used him as like a tough guy, as a filler, stepping stone, and he just kept proving people wrong over and over. How's this Aussie going to win? This Aussie can't do that. He's just a striker. Oh no, he's a wrestler. No, this man, he's made the best fighters in the world look stupid.
True.
And I don't think people realize how hard he hits. I mean, to fuck up Max Holloway 3 times.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are. Holloway was smashing Rodriguez until he got overconfident. Then Rodriguez kind of like got back in the fight towards the end. I think Volkanovski is just another animal. I don't think he can be submitted.
Especially after that Ortega fight, and then how he got out of Makhachev's control.
Listen, if Makhachev's not gonna, okay, I think Makhachev took that fight a little bit lightly. But if he's not gonna sub him, if Ortega's not gonna sub him, I don't think Yair Rodriguez is going to sub him.
Especially now, not that he's. I mean, he rolls with Craig Jones on a regular basis. I mean, there's almost no one better to roll with besides maybe Gordon Ryan.
It's not even the rolling; it's just the technical ability. So, like 2 different body types. I don't think they're great stylistically to roll with. But I think when you got a coach like Craig Jones, like fixing every small detail, like I think he's so intelligent on the ground. Like I think he's his jits IQ is next level. I don't think Rodriguez is going to be able to throw anything up that's going to surprise him, to be honest.
Okay.
And I think he makes Rodriguez look stupid.
Oh yeah, I'm leaning more towards that as well. Yeah. So we're all going Volkanovski. I think Volkanovski. I was initially going to say by a landslide decision, because maybe Volkanovski. He's not the type of guy to take it easy, but I mean, kind of like Amanda Nunes in her last fight, she did enough to win because there's a gulf in class between them. But I think he's not the type. But now I think he's not the type of person. TKO round 3, because Rodriguez is tough. What you saying?
I was going to say TKO round 4.
Okay, Mike.
I don't know if Rodriguez will go away that early. To be honest. I think the Mexican blood, Mexican heritage, I think these guys are super tough. I think he'll go out on his sword, maybe round 5. But I think he's going to be fucked up. I think he's going to be cut. He's going to be bleeding everywhere. I think Volkanovski makes him look like he had a date with Freddy Krueger.
Wow. Okay.
I think he's going to cut him up badly.
Okay, so we're going round 3, round 4, round 5, but everybody Volkanovski. Okay, awesome. Well, that wraps up our predictions. Let's see. Tune in next week to see who takes the belt home. We've got one decision different to each other, you and I. So there's a possibility. Someone's got to win. Yeah. So let's see next week. So in honor of our 2 South Africans fighting on the UFC 290 card, I thought it'd be a good idea for us to do a top 5 South African fighters of all time. So this is our weekly top 5. So, Mike, as you are our guest, please would you do us the honor of going first?
Okay, cool. We're putting him on the spot. Okay, so I think it's semi-current and current. So number 5, I'd put Soulja Boy. I think he was dominant in the UFC. In the EFC, had a couple of tough fights in the UFC. Really was a good ambassador for South African MMA. Number 4, I'd put Iga Cabeza. I think he's really he's a phenomenal talent. He's beaten international guys, made them look ordinary, been a multiple-time EFC champ. So he's definitely number 4. Number 3, Cameron. I think fighting the UFC, flying the flag high for South Africa, talented youngster, next generation. I think he's going to be amazing. Number 2, I put Don Madge. I think, super talented everywhere. Great striker, good grappler, good ground and pound. He's fought internationally, been a champ locally. I think definitely number 2. And then number 1 would be Dricus, based on everything he's achieved so far. And still going to achieve after this week and maybe the next UFC.
Yeah, 100%. Hopefully the next UFC middleweight champion of the world. Thanks, Mike. That was an awesome top 5. As I was saying, I think we're going to have a few differences. Maybe we'll have 2 similarities and two differences. But I agree definitely with everybody on that top 5, actually, because now that we come to think of it, there's actually, we've all got 5, but I've got a few honorable mentions. But actually now, especially like you said, being current, there's a lot of good South African fighters and there's a lot to choose from. So, Jack, what's your top 5?
So my top 5 is also current fighters, but I'd say number 5, that is Nkosi Ndebele. I think that he has some just really amazing fights to watch. I know he's only 23rd in the UAE right now, so he's not that highly ranked. But it's just such a pleasure and always so exciting to watch his fights.
He's a good fighter.
Yeah. And then for number 4, I have Don Madge. I think that also he's great all around. Also just such a great fight to watch. I don't know when he's going to come back, but yeah, hopefully soon. And then number 3, I have Cameron. So Cameron Saaiman. I think he's also just such a cool prospect, and it's it's quite awesome to see someone younger than me, also from Pretoria, doing so well in the UFC. And I hope he goes far. I can see him go very far. And then I have Bokang at number 2, so BK. I couldn't not. He's just so cool that he's a South African, and I think that he'll be the first brave champion at South African.
One.
No, first one champion.
Yeah, one champion.
Yeah, BK is unreal.
Yeah,
he's really unreal.
Yeah.
Top talent. Yeah, especially with given his background and what he came from to be here. Yeah, definitely. And then number 1.
And then number 1, I have Dricus, of course. Just what he's achieved, where he can go. The crest of his career, it feels like it's only starting now, and that's just an incredible thing to even think about, because he's already achieved so much.
Yeah.
No,
awesome. I've maybe cheated, so maybe. So what I've done is I thought, just to spice things up, I would do a top 5 without Dricus. Okay. Also, mainly because I had 6 people on this list and I don't want to leave somebody out, but Dricus is number 1, but this is my list without Dricus. So in at number 5, I've gone for Chris Bright. So Chris, I met years and years ago, and back then he was sort of the standard, particularly at lightweight. You also factor in or you take into account that I think he was 28-4 in his total career, and I think he's lost once at lightweight. I stand to be corrected, and 3 losses all came at welterweight.
I'm not 100% sure, but yeah.
Yeah, so it's that, but also, what he did at the time, he's always been trying to do the unified rules in South Africa. He's always been trying to put events together, whether that's grappling or whether that's MMA. So got to have Chris Bright on there. In at number 4, I've actually gone for Rico. I think Rico is one of the most dominant heavyweight champions we've ever had in South Africa, even to this day. I think he's unlucky because he was in a time where there wasn't that many opportunities for South Africans to go to the US. He did end up going to the US, didn't go his way. But if you look at the fact that somebody like Trevor Prangley was top 5 or top 10 in the UFC, I've got BK at number 3. I think he's just been dominant in South Africa, and he was fighting a weight class up to what he fights now. I think he should be fighting Jared Brooks next. I don't know if that fight is going to happen or not, but I mean it's a race between him and Dricus for now, and possibly throw in Don there. Who's going to be the first winner of a major title or in a major organization? I think BK's got all the tools. He's made all the improvements, and his story is so impressive. I think his story and his rise is just as impressive, as any sportsman, including even Siya Kolisi, in my opinion. So BK's got to be there. Number 1 and 2 has been tough for me, but I had to pick somebody to be number 1. I had to pick somebody to be number 2. I've gone for Don Madge in at number 2. Don has always had all the tools to be a champion internationally. He was the youngest EFC champion when he became champion. He's also never really been dominated in a fight from what I've seen. His losses have been either, when he was very young and jumping into the deep end, or more recently when he got clipped. And he's also, even though he's not in the UFC anymore, he's also one of the 3 or 4 South Africans with 2 wins in the UFC. Dominant wins in the UFC, even breaking his hand in the one fight. I do still expect Don Madge, whether it's in PFL or whether he goes to another organization, I do still fully expect Don Madge to be a champion in a major organization. I know he's had a few injury issues here and there, but there's still a lot left for Don to prove. There's still a lot left for Don to do. Definitely think he's going to be a champion in a major organization. And then at number 1, I've gone for Cameron Saaiman, only because everything that we've just said, Don's done. So the UFC record for the youngest champion, Cameron Saaiman, did that. Cameron Saimon's also got 2 wins in the UFC. If you include the Contender Series, it is 3rd win. He doesn't, but it's still a win overseas. But I really think, Dricus' time is right now, and everybody is behind Dricus, including that team. But I think Cameron Saimon's going to slowly climb up, as we said earlier, and he's no doubt in my mind a future bantamweight champion in the UFC. I think it's only a matter of time, and his time is next. So it's Dricus' time. Dricus is going to be a dominant champion, we're hoping. And then Cameron Saimon's going to come up as Dricus become champion, climb those steps, and he's my number 1, excluding Dricus du Plessis. So
I like your list. You've gone for the older guys. That's the only reason why I didn't mention too many older guys. I think the level of competition now, and to do well in the level of competition now versus back in the day, is unreal. I think there's a massive discrepancy in terms of the level of competition. I think a lot more guys are much better on average, and a lot of our guys didn't get the opportunity to prove themselves internationally. It was very difficult for guys to get a good measure of themselves because there wasn't a lot of international guys coming down here, or us being able to go up and fight in Pride or UFC, all those events that were happening. So I think that's why I kind of didn't mention the old guys, but I like your list a lot.
Thank you very much.
Especially because Chris and Rico both fought on our events, which is what I call the APSC events.
Oh, nice.
So seeing the guys do some damage in those events was really cool.
I had to have them in there. I mean, they just from what I saw at the time, there was no one that came close to them in their weight classes. Just on that, there's some honorable mentions. So I've just gone Leon Maynard. Really, really tough fighter, really awesome fighter. I really enjoyed watching him fight. Soulja Boy I've also got. And then I've also gone for Trevor Prangley just because he did get to test himself overseas. Record not the best, but still, I mean, seasoned.
I think he was a Bodog champ as well. At one stage, he fought in an event called Bodog. He was a Bodog middleweight champ.
Yeah.
When he fought Rico, he wasn't a heavyweight. When he weighed in like 90 odd kgs and he still took the fight.
Okay.
So yeah, fighting Rico, and Rico was a physical specimen, man. Rico was in shape when he fought Trevor. Took a lot of punishment and just came through and ground out the win. It was an unbelievable fight. I think somewhere I've got that on DVD. I must bring it to you.
Yeah, please do.
That was a fucking great fight.
Yeah,
that was a great fight.
Yeah. No, so that was our weekly top 5. Let us know if you guys agree, disagree. Let us know what top 5 you'd like to see in the subsequent episodes coming up in the next few weeks. And I think it's a good place to call it. Mike, we really appreciate you coming through.
Thanks for having me again.
You're welcome anytime. Yeah, it was great to get your insights. I mean, there was so many things that, without your insights, I think the show would have been a little bit more boring. So
sorry for stealing some of your thoughts as well.
No. Great minds think alike, So yeah. Well, up until next week, guys. Same time, same place. See you then. Cheers.
Ciao.